right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Gorowski, and I'll be your host for today. First of all, a big happy International Sloth Day to everybody. Sorry, World Sloth Day to everybody. It's always exciting to think about sloths. I know most of the students tuning in right now think they're pretty amazing, and we're going to go to a pretty amazing place to get to learn all about sloths, about issues they're facing, and about how they're being conserved. So we're going to head to the Toucan Rescue Ranch in Costa Rica. We're going to be joined by Daniel. The Toucan Rescue Ranch has been in operation since 2004 and has been rescuing and rehabilitating Costa Rican wildlife ever since. So not just sloths, including other animals like toucans, porcupines, kinkajous, owls, and more. Any native Costa Rican wildlife that needs assistance, the Toucan Rescue Ranch is there. So let me bring Daniel live into the call. Daniel, happy World Sloth Day.
Hello, happy Sloth International Day, guys. So yeah, my name is Daniel. Nice to meet you all. I hope that you can see me and hear me well. So yeah, just a bit of a story before we see the sloths are right here in front of me. Toucan Rescue Ranch, it is an organization that we focus on the rehab and rescue of the animals. We do focus on sloths and toucans. That's why our name Toucan Rescue Ranch. But we do rescue a bunch of other animals, including baby opossums and even baby squirrels as well. So it's really interesting. But today, just like Joe said, we're going to focus on these sloths because it's Sloth International Day. So just a quick introduction on my behalf. So yeah, my name is Daniel, biologist, been here for 4 years. But now you're gonna see the sloths. So let me just switch the camera from this thing.
I think when Daniel was switching the camera, he might have hit the hang up button instead. So we're going to give Daniel just a second to come in and join us. I can see we have tons and tons of viewers tuning in for World Sloth Day, which is great. So use that chat sidebar on the right. Let us know where you're watching from. And then, of course, send us in some questions. But let's keep the chat to questions. If there's too many comments and too many kind of saying hi to your friends, we won't see the questions. So let's keep the chat for that. And Daniel's back already. Hey, Daniel.
Hi. All right. So now the camera should. There you go. Wait a second. It's just that it froze for a minute. And I thought that it just did the same thing. Oh no.
Nope. It's working. We're good.
All right. Well, I don't see anything, but I hope that you guys can see. All right. So over here we have the two-finger sloths. They're sleeping right now, but we're gonna give them some flowers. So hopefully that will wake them up. So these ones right here are hibiscus flowers. The hibiscus flowers are really, really good for them because it gives them the energy that they need, and also it gives them nutrients. So, by the way, we have over here, I'm just going to tell you their names in just a second as soon as they wake up. You can see that one over there. And we have actually 4 sloths. So, we have Brad Pitt. So, Brad Pitt is this one on the left. Then over here, we have Gaspar, we have Howie, and Lala. So, today is International Sloth Day. And I'm just going to tell you just a little bit about that before we go ahead and talk about these amazing, amazing animals. Well, International Sloth Day was pretty much created in 2010 by a Colombian organization, a conservation organization. And the whole goal for this day is to create awareness about the sloths. That sloths, they need to be protected. The sloths do not belong in a house. They belong in the wild. They're wild animals. Sadly, the sloths, but also thankfully, they have become the new kittens of the internet, which is nice because it brings a lot of attention, especially in days like today, that is International Sloth Day. And that will help us to educate a lot of people just like you guys. So you guys, today you're going to learn a lot of facts about these amazing, amazing sloths. But also, it can raise awareness in issues like the animal black market trade. Sadly, there's a lot of people that have them, or they go to zoos and hold them without realizing that there's a big problem in doing that. And the problem with that is that the sloths, so that they're really cute and all, and yes, they can be slow sometimes. The problem is that they can be fast and they can attack and they can get stressed quite easily with people. So if you go to a zoo or somewhere where they let you hold a sloth, it's a bad sign because they can get so stressed that they can actually get a heart attack. So that's the reason why we do not touch them or handle them or do anything like this. These guys, they're around 8 to 9 months old, um, and they're going to be released back into the wild in around a year. So there are actually three reasons why we receive the sloths here in the ranch. One of them is electrocution. So they get electrocuted quite often, and this is because in Costa Rica there's a lot of power lines. They're not on the ground, and sadly, sloths they think that these power lines are vines, so they just touch them and they get electrocuted. So we receive a lot of cases like that. And in the case with the babies, it's the mom usually who gets electrocuted, and the baby is the one who is left alone. So two things can happen there. One, it can be that MINAE, that is the environmental police of Costa Rica, see this happening, and then they bring this loss to us. Or a regular person, just like you guys or just like me, they see that sloth and then they call us. They say, "Hey, there's a sloth, an executed sloth. I don't know what to do. What should we do?" So we give them instructions, and then they come here. When they come here, or when we receive the sloths, they need to go through a whole process. But first, they need to go to the clinic to make sure that they are not injured. In the case of the babies, when they're just found abandoned, we put them with other sloths just like this ones. So they need to go through a process that we like to call preschool, high school, university. And when they get to university, they're released back into the wild, which is exactly what we want. We want them to release them back into the wild. Now, Costa Rica, we are located in Central America. So we're south of the United States. Probably a lot of you, when you think of Costa Rica, you think of a beach, right? Or like the coast, the beautiful coast. Yes, we do have beautiful beaches and everything, but we have more than that. We have our fair share of mountains. Where we are located right now, where Toucan Rescue Ranch is, by the way, right now it's going to be a bit difficult to see their faces because they're just digging their face on their fur. Um, but where we are located right now, we are around 7 to 8,000 feet above sea level, and these guys can live in the highlands, meaning in the mountains, but also in the lowlands. If you guys have ever seen Zootopia, the one in the DMV, then that one is it three finger sloth. That's the one that you see pretty much everywhere, in advertisement and that kind of stuff. But this type of sloth is less popular than that sloth. So in Costa Rica, we have those two species. So this one can live in the mountains, but also, oh my God, look how cute this is. Um, so they can live on the lowlands, but also on the highlands. So they can tolerate cold a bit. And I mean cold, no colder than 50 degrees Fahrenheit. We're in the tropics, so it doesn't get as cold as the United States or North America in winter, as you guys are getting into winter soon. Um, but yeah, and you can see that they have a lot of hair. So that hair has two main purposes. One that is quite obvious is to keep them warm. Oh, are you going? Okay, are you taking a nap, Brad Pitt, or what are you doing? um, so yeah, it's to keep them warm, but also surprisingly, is to keep them cool. So what they do is that when it gets really hot, they can sweat, and they will get rid of that sweat through or with the hair, which is really really interesting. But the other purpose is to get camouflage. Now, if you ever seen a sloth in the wild, or even if you haven't, you will notice that they are actually covered by these algae. So they have these algae in their fur that helps them to camouflage. So over there we have a natto sloth. So that's how they sleep. They pretty much sleep on a ball, and they're covered by these algae and moss, and it will be really, really difficult for the predators to actually see them. So that's another really great use of the hair. Now, the sloths, they are indeed really slow, but like I said, they can get quite fast. But they will take forever to go to the bathroom and more to digest their food. So I imagine that most of you guys already have breakfast. So that thing that you have for breakfast is going to go through all your system, and then you will pretty much get rid of it, right? But these guys, instead of taking like a day like we do, it takes up to a month for them to digest the food. So it's a whole month. Whatever they eat, it will take a month. And it's because the metabolism or the system is really slow. And there's two reasons for this. One is because they do not have a lot of energy. And second, because they're herbivores. So herbivore means that they eat a lot of leaves. So leaves are really, really difficult to break down and to get the energy from those leaves. So you've probably seen cows. The cows are always chewing and chewing and chewing. That's because they're chewing the grass a lot to help it to break down and to digest it. Same as cows, the sloths have multi-chambered stomachs. So the stomachs is divided like in four or so. So that way, once the food passes through one part of the stomach, then it will go to the other one and the other one and the other one. So that way they can get as much nutrients as and water as they possibly can. Now these guys are really really sleepy. We give them those flowers, but right now they're like, yeah, probably we don't want to be as active today, although it's International Sloth Day. But they're like, no. And you need to also keep in mind that sloths are nocturnal. So nocturnal means that they stay active during the during the night, and vice versa. Diurnal means that stay active during the day. So the three-fingered sloth, the one that you saw in Zootopia, if you ever seen that movie, if you haven't, I recommend it. It's really funny. It's really cool. So that sloth is actually diurnal. So they can be active during the day, but also sometimes they can be active during the night as well. These guys, no, they don't. They will stay active most of the day, sorry, most of the night, and that's it. That's the reason why they're not that active right now. It's just that Brad Pitt is really curious of what's going on. It's International Sloth Day. I definitely want to be on camera, just like Brad Pitt. Um, Now, besides the things that they eat, that is pretty much leaves, they do eat a wide range of leaves. Unlike the three-fingered sloth, that is the one in Zootopia, they only eat one type of leaf most of the time. That leaf is called guarumo or cecropia. And that tree is considered a pioneer tree. That is pretty much everywhere. The reason why it's considered a pioneer tree is because after deforestation, it's the first tree that it grows. And after that tree, other trees will come. So it's pretty much everywhere in the country. So that's the reason why the three-fingered sloths can eat or they can specialize in guarumo because it's pretty much everywhere. But these guys, they don't. They don't eat guarumo, but they eat a lot of trees that you're probably familiar with. They eat mango trees. They eat apple as well, water apple trees, poro. There is another common species in here, and a bunch of other species. So, although they can live on the same habitat, they will not fight between each other because their food is different. So they will not fight against each other because of that. Now, the stars that do not sleep as much as some of you probably think, or a lot of people think. So if you take a guess right now, I will probably imagine that some of you will say between 20 to 22. But if you just thought about 10 to 15 hours, then you're correct. They do not sleep as much as people think. They only sleep 10 to 15 hours a day. Definitely not 20 or 22. So they sleep not a lot. And what they do during the night is pretty much just try to look for food or reproduce. Now, talking about reproducing, the babies they will stay with the mom for up to 2 years. So the gestation period, meaning that the mom will stay with in the womb, just like a fetus, then it will stay for around 9 months. I know. Um, so sorry about that. So yeah, and they will stay for around 2 years, and then they go back to or they're pretty much in the wild. So right now we're gonna go and see Oatmeal. So Oatmeal is another sloth, and later we're gonna talk about the South Armine games because he is actually one. Well, he's not one of the participants, but we're gonna reveal to you who are the participants. So, by the way, this is Tanya and Sarah. So Tanya is one of the vets, and we have Sarah, that she's the marketing director. So if you see us on Instagram, it's because of her. Um, so now we're gonna go and go to the area where we have Oatmeal. So Oatmeal is another two-finger sloth that he got here quite damn injured. Let me just cross this barrier. And here we have some sloth poo, so I need to be careful. Let me see where he is. Sometimes he will go really high up. But, oh, there he is. So I know that it's really, really hard to see him, but he's right there in a bowl. So that's Oatmeal. Oatmeal took around like a year to be fully recovered from his injuries, and right now he's doing really, really well. So Joel, just let me know if you can confirm that you can barely see that bowl of sloth. Okay. So now we're gonna go and see the three finger sloths that are in another part of our area. So we're gonna go ahead and see the. Oh no, we're actually gonna stay here. But just yeah, I know. Just that oatmeal is really high up. But we're gonna show you another sloth in just a minute. But right now we're gonna talk about the South Armine games. So the South Armine games, there is a competition. Um, that we do every single year, and it pretty much just started right now. So this is Brad Pitt. This is one of the ones that we were watching, and we put him in this tree to help him to do some rehab. So that way they can get used to being on a tree just like this one. Because in the end, we're gonna release them back into the wild. Um, Now, the South Armine games, like I was saying, is a competition that these guys will have to go through, and it's really really cool because they will have to go through different challenges. So we have the hibiscus challenge, the hibiscus eat off challenge. We also have the poop up challenge, strong slot challenge, and then we have the meter dash challenge. And although today at 1 p.m. Costa Rican time, we're gonna reveal who the participants or who the contestants will be, you guys will be the first to know. So first we have Lala. So we saw Lala a minute ago over there. We also have Eclipse, but Eclipse is a special one because Eclipse is a three-finger slot. That is the first time that we have a three-finger slot participating in the South Armine games. Then we also have Oatmeal, the one that is over there, really high up. Then we have Gaspar and Suso. So the way that it works is that you can follow us on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, and in there you will be able to see the competitions. So today this slot reveal, but then tomorrow we have the competitions. And the way that it works is that you can vote for them. So you go to our Instagram or to any of our social media, and you click on the link of Cuddly, which is a web page, and in there you can make a donation. So you make a minimum donation of $5, and each dollar counts as a point. The slot that has the most points will win the competition. Um, and it's thanks to all that money that we raise that we can keep our release program going. So that way we can keep releasing these guys back into the wild. So that's the South Armine games. I definitely recommend you guys to join in and tune for that because it's really, really fun. And again, one vote is $1. And also you can participating by taking pictures or selfies. If you have a stuffed stat, you can take a selfie of that, or you can make a poster of your favorite participant and you can share it on social media. That way you can support your favorite slot. So remember, the participants of these years are going to be Lala, Eclipse, Oatmeal, Gaspar, and Suso. Brad Pitt, the one that is going really high up, is not going to be a participant or a contestant this in this competition, at least for this year. So that's from my part. So now we can open the space for some questions, Joe.
All right, sounds good, Daniel. So for students who are tuning in, if they want to follow along with the Sloth Ironman games, visiting the website and then following on Instagram is the best way to do it.
Exactly. So just follow us on social media. Yeah, you can go to our website as well. But you can follow us on Facebook or on Instagram. And that's where we're going to be sharing all the details of the South Ironman games.
All right, sounds great. Well, we're going to start visiting our classes for some questions. We've got some great groups joining us on camera. But Daniel, we have tons and tons and tons of students joining us via the chat. So those who are joining us via the chat, take a moment and shoot some introductions our way, and I'll say hi to some of the classrooms. We probably won't be able to say hi to everybody because there's a lot of classrooms tuning in, but definitely let us know if you're tuning in. But let's start here. Let's meet our first group. We're going to go to Mrs. Hupka's group. I'm going to bring them in right now. They're a grade 1-2 class. How are we doing, grade 1-2? All right, good stuff. Well, I see you put a question in the chat, but if you want to ask live, go ahead. They're just coming up, Daniel.
All right, no worries. Take your time. In the meantime, we can watch these three finger sloths. We have Sol and Luna.
The mic didn't pick it up, but I
Eclipse
think
and
Sloths Swim. Is that right?
sorry?
Yeah, do Sloths swim, Daniel?
Yes, they do. They're actually great swimmers. Obviously, it's not like they want to go for a swim every now and then. They will try to avoid us because in the rivers where they swim, they can be vulnerable. But yeah, they're really good swimmers. Actually, they can be faster in the water than on land.
Very, very cool. And so now we're looking at some of the three-fingered sloths.
Yes, exactly. So these are the three finger sloths. So we have Luna and Eclipse. And like I said, Eclipse is going to be one of the participants of the South Ironman games. First three finger sloth on the South Ironman games.
All right, very cool. Well, I want to give a few shout outs here as some classrooms have introduced themselves. We've got grade 4-5s joining us with Mrs. King Meski. We've got fifth graders with Miss Peterson. Let's see who else. Miss Wilbanks, fifth grade in Toronto, Ontario. We've got some kindergartners hanging out with us with Mrs. Bartoline. More kindergartners hanging out with us. Lots of great students. Grade 5s hanging out with us with Mrs. Morningstar. So good stuff. Lots of students joining us, even in Florida, North Palm Beach. Very cool. Arizona.
Oh, nice. Ooh, Arizona.
Everybody's celebrating World Sloth Day today, which is pretty cool. We've got a virtual grade 6-7 school with Miss Dent. Good stuff. Miss Dykstra's group is joining us. Very cool. Oh, so Miss Dykstra's class, Daniel would like to know, at the rescue center, do the sloths get to swim or
No.
part of the rehabilitation?
That's a really good question, but no, they don't. No, we don't we don't teach them how to swim. Not only because it's a risky move, but also they will only swim if it's completely and utterly necessary. So that's the reason why we don't teach them how to swim, because they already have that instinct how to do it. So when we release them, we actually seen sloths swimming across our rivers, the ones that we released. So yeah, we don't do that because it's a big risk, especially when they're babies. But that's a really good question, by the way.
Absolutely, makes total sense as well. I'm going to bring in another group here. We've got Clark's Fantastic Fives joining us. How are we doing, Fantastic Fives? Very cool. All right, who's got a question?
You want to ask? Okay. Keegan, come on up. What do you got?
How long does a sloth live?
Come to the
So
microphone.
how long do they live for? So it will depend on the sloth. For example, this sloth, that is the three-finger sloths, they can live between 15 to almost 20 years. But the two-finger sloths, the one that we're watching first, they can live up to 30 years in some cases.
All right, very cool. Let's grab another question here. I'm going to grab one from YouTube. Mrs. Woodley's class wants to know about their claws, their nails. How do they sharpen them when they move through the trees? They're wondering, do they need to be sharp to protect themselves? Can you tell us a little bit about their claws?
Yes, so their claws are pretty much essential for a lot of things. One of them is to eat. So they use it as you can, well, you cannot see it right now, but they were grabbing the leaves with that. They're just eating those leaves so quickly. It's incredible. But yeah, they use it pretty much to hang on the trees. I know that it's kind of hard to see, but they have this spotting just below or above their. Ooh, are you playing freeze or something? Oh, that's something. So under right there, there's like some pattern which will help them to climb the trees, but also it will help them to attack, or well, not to attack. I would say more defend themselves. So they're really sharp, so they can use that to defend themselves against predators. So their nails or their claws are really, really useful.
All right. I like the way they're sitting there, just kind of taking everything in.
Yeah, just chilling, just enjoying the weather.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Mrs. T's third and fourth graders. How are we doing?
Right over there.
Go ahead
Right.
and unmute the microphone for me so we can hear you. You're on mute right now, Mrs. Thiessen. If you can unmute for me, we'll grab a question from the game.
She's our marketing director, and she's the one who does amazing.
There we go.
There's that good? Okay.
Yeah, we got you. Hey, boys and girls.
Why are sloths in our ecosystem?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I just lost you on the last.
Why do sloths
So-
have their ecosystem?
So why
are
do sloths have an?
in their ecosystem?
So why do they have an ecosystem? Is that your question? Correct?
Yeah, maybe why are they important to their ecosystem as well?
Oh, why are they important to the ecosystem? Well, they're important because of a lot of things. First, they will control the population of the trees. So by munching on the trees, it's a really, really good way to keep the trees growing. Because there's an interesting fact about the sloths when they eat. What the sloths will do is that on young trees, they will eat the young leaves because they're high in protein but less in fiber. So that way they will avoid the trees from overgrowing or the forest to overgrow. And also they have a lot of insects and moths in their fur. So they also serve as an ecosystem themselves where other animals and insects can live in their fur. So they're really important and crucial part for the forest.
All right, very cool. Let's bring another classroom in here. Miss Max, fourth and fifth graders are joining us. How we doing? You'll have to come up and oh, there we go. We got you now.
Can sloths have fast reflexes?
Yes, that's a good question, by the way. Yes, they can. But here's the thing. The sloth that we just saw in the bucket, those ones were the three-finger sloths. Those ones, no, they don't. But these kinds, the two-fingered, oh boy, yes, they do have that. They can react really, really fast. If right now I do a sudden movement, like if I'm trying to get really close to Brad Pitt, he would just turn to me and try to attack me. So they do have amazing reflex and really, really fast ones. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, great question. All right, let's see if we can find another good one here online. So here's a question here from Miss Morningstar's class, and they're wondering, are sloths endangered in Costa Rica and other places they're found?
So you can find sloths pretty much almost all over the continent in America, except for North America. You can find a bunch of more species in South America, like in Colombia, Peru, or in the Amazon. In Costa Rica, they're considered least concern by an organization that classify them, but they do are slightly endangered. The thing is that the thing is that they have a lot of threats in the wild. One of them is people having them as pets, which is not a good idea, as we talked. The second is deforestation. So, sadly, there is a crop that is, as probably all of you know, pineapple. That pineapple is a bush. For those of you who don't know, it's not a tree. So, pineapple is a bush, and it uses a lot of land. So, in order for people to plant pineapple, they need to destroy the rainforest or to plant other things, even coffee. So solid deforestation and the animal black market trade is one of the threats that these guys have. So yeah, they are endangered. Not as endangered as other animals, for example, like the great green macaw or like some toucans, but they do have a lot of threats in the wild.
Okay. I'm going to bring in another classroom here. Let's visit our classrooms again, see if they have a follow-up. Mrs. Huka's class, do you guys have another question from Thunder Bay? Huh. For some reason, the microphone's not picking up the question. Try coming a little bit closer. I don't know what it's doing because we had you before. Okay. Mrs. Huka, do you want to type that question into the chat? For whatever reason, the microphone seems to have gone out on us, but we'll come back and we'll make sure we get that question in. Let's go back to British Columbia. Mrs. T's third and fourth graders. Do you have another question?
Go ahead. How can we help sloths?
How can we help sloths?
All right, how can you help sloths? That's a really, really good question. Well, there's a lot of ways that you can help sloths from your home. The first one is to tell everyone that sloths are not pets and do not ever go to a place where they let you touch or hold a sloth as a pet. The problem with that is that sometimes some of the zoos, they would just take the sloths out of the wild so people can go and pet them. So do not support any places that have them for you to pet the sloths, because remember, these guys can get really stressed. Another great way is to join the South Arm Mine Games. So you can go there and donate. Even with $5, those $5 will be a lot of money that will accumulate for us to release them. So you can donate, you can follow us on social media, you can share with the friends the work that we do. You can also join one of the classrooms as well that we have besides this one. And yeah, just pretty much tell everyone that sloths are not really good as pets, although there's a lot of people in the world that have them. And that's a great way to help the sloths, to spread the word, to spread the awareness that sloths belong in the trees. But also, and another really interesting way how to help the sloths is to, although it's a bit a difficult one, to try to reduce the food that you eat regarding pineapple. So try to eat, if you can, organic pineapple, or if you can't, try to not eat that much pineapple. Because just like I said, pineapple destroys the rainforest, which destroys the habitat of the sloths. So even you not eating pineapple, there you will be helping sloths.
All right. Mrs. Frawley's grade 5-6s are joining us, and they're wondering about teeth. How many teeth do a sloth have?
Oh, so that's a really good question. So they have 4 molars on each side, and they have canine teeth on the front. So the canine teeth are really useful not only to defend themselves, but also to tell apart some of the leaves. And obviously the molars are there just to chew those leaves. So that's a really good question.
Great question. Let's bring another group in live with us here. Oh, actually, I've got Mrs. Huka's question. They sent it to me via the chat, and they want to know if sloths can see color.
No, so that's a really good question as well. So sloths cannot see as many colors as we can. Actually, sloths, they do not see really well. And the reason for this is because they are nocturnal and their diet is mostly leaves. Um, you see them on the dirt. So their diet is pretty much leaves, so they don't need to see. The only thing that they need to do is to smell and to hear. So they cannot see really well, and not even colors. No.
Okay. Clark's fantastic fives. Go ahead with another question.
Fedora, the question?
Do they build houses in their trees?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, can you come a little closer?
Hi. Sit down. Do they build houses in the trees?
Do they build houses on the trees? No, they don't. So the sloths actually what they do is that. So do you see that ball over there? Well, that is oatmeal. That's how they live and that's how they sleep. What they do is that they will just crawl in a ball and um and that's pretty much it. So they just go in a ball just like oatmeal right there, and they don't build any houses. They just sleep like that.
All right. Oatmeal just does not want to be on camera today. Just
Yeah, he definitely doesn't want to be on camera.
doing their thing. Very cool. Let's see. We need to visit Miss Max, 4th and 5th graders. Make sure they get a second question. So you can go ahead and unmute if you have another question for us.
How long can sloths hang upside down for?
How long can they hang upside down? Their whole life. So these guys, they're pretty much designed, if you want to call it like that, or they evolved to be upside down, because it's better for them to move in the rainforest. As you can see, what Brad Pitt is doing, he's just climbing up the tree like that. So that way, they can digest their food without being completely upside down. But yeah, they pretty much will stay upside down all the time. The only time where they will not be upside down is when they are swimming or when they are on the ground trying to move from tree to tree. But they will stay pretty much all their lives upside down on the trees.
All right. Well, Daniel, we have a couple minutes left, so let's do a little speed round from some questions on YouTube. So I'm gonna send a couple questions your way. So the first one here from Daniel Deeks is: when a sloth is on the ground, does it crawl or walk?
That's a good question. They actually crawl. They cannot walk at all, so they crawl. And they're really, really slow on the ground, even slower than in the trees.
All right. Mrs. Barfoot would like to know: can sloths hear well? Do they have a good hearing?
Yes, they do. So remember, just like I said before, their eyesight is really poor, but the hearing and smell senses are really, really well, or really, really good.
Very cool. Mrs. Gibb would like to know: do sloths have predators?
Yes, they actually do, but not a lot, not like any other animals. The sloth here in Costa Rica, it used to be the harpy eagle that is the biggest in the world, but sadly is believed to be locally extinct. So right now is the ocelot and the jaguar, and some owls sometimes, but they don't have a lot of predators, thankfully.
All right. This might be a tough question, but Miss Walker's class, they're 3rd graders in Las Vegas, and they're curious is do we have a count on how many sloths are in the world, or is that just too hard to estimate?
That's too hard to estimate. Indeed, it's a really hard question. It's really hard to estimate how many sloths there are, considering that there are many other species as well. But their numbers are quite high. We don't know the exact number, but we know that at least with this species, the two-finger sloths, the number is high. There's a lot of them in the world, which is really good news.
All right, excellent. And maybe squeeze in one more here. A class was curious about their fur. Is it soft to the touch, or does it feel more coarse?
It's actually soft. So I don't say about experience. I just know because the vets told me, since they sometimes handle them in surgeries or in only necessary procedures, they will touch them. But yeah, they actually say that it feels kind of like a husky dog. So it's soft, but when they're in the wild, algae starts to grow on their fur, so it's not soft anymore. But when they're babies, yes, it's really soft.
All right, good stuff. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for sharing with us today on World Sloth Day. Thank you to all of our sloths. I'm loving this climbing action we're seeing here. It's very, very cool. And And yeah, so if students want to tune in after this call, it's 1 o'clock on Instagram or other social media channels, and they can check out the announcement of the sloths.
Yeah, remember that it's 1 p.m. Costa Rican time.
Oh, Costa Rica, so 3 o'clock.
Costa Rican time, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're on the East Coast, then that will be at 3 p.m. If you're on the West Coast, that will be at 12 p.m.
All right, very cool. Well, shout out to all of our students on YouTube. Such a big group joining us today, different classrooms, students at home as well. Thank you so much for sharing some of World Sloth Day with us. Thank you to our live classroom. You were our live classrooms. You were incredible. Let's pop them in for one more second here and just let them take them in. Give a big wave. Hey, boys and girls.
Hey guys.
All right, thank you so much for joining us live today. It was great to see everybody. And Daniel, and to everybody at the Toucan Rescue Ranch, thank you so much for another great trip. The signal was better than ever today. It was great to see Brad Pitt, Oatmeal, and all the other sloths, and we wish them best of luck in the Ironman games, the Iron Sloth games.
Yeah, awesome. Perfect. Thank you again, guys, so much for joining us. Again, please follow us on social media so you can see the amazing Sloth Ironman games. They're going to be so much fun. And yeah, thank you so much for joining and learning a lot about the sloths in the International Sloth Day. Well,
All right, at Toucan Rescue Ranch, we'll bring it up on most social media. So you can find it there or search it in the search bar and you will find it there. And I'm looking forward to watching all of the games. And I'm going to pick, after I see the announcement of the Sloth Elites, I'm going to pick my favorite and my who I think.
I definitely have mine already.
Well, you've got inside knowledge. I don't know if that's fair.
Yeah, I don't think that is fair.
All right. Thanks again, everyone. We are going to sign off. Happy World Sloth Day.
Bye, guys.